Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to my channel. So today's video we'll be creating cards with this Countdown to Christmas luxury paper pad. This came free with issue 215 of Papercraft Essentials. Today is another collaboration video with Marta, so I'll leave a link to her YouTube channel in the description box down below. So she is using a different paper pad, but still a free gift from a Papercraft Essentials magazine, Christmas themed as well. So be sure to go and check out her video after watching this one. So I showed you this in a recent haul video. I didn't show you what was included actually in the pad itself, so we're just going through them now. Reading from the front of the packaging, you got 30 die cut toppers, 147 printed toppers, so they are ones you need to cut yourself, 11 patterned papers, and 25 foiled numbers. So you can create advent calendars with this. There is a template for some boxes you can see here. I'm pretty sure that's to make your own advent calendar. You've got the die cut toppers, like I said. You have got the ones that you need to cut. You've got these foiled stickers, sentiments just to the right hand side. Absolutely jam-packed, and I absolutely love this paper pad. It's got to be one of my favorite Christmas paper pads. I don't usually get this magazine and use like the kits sort of like this, to be honest, but when I seen this with the nutcrackers, the little mice, the florals, I love the colors. It's something bright, not completely traditional, and I had a lot of fun using it. Today's video I'm going to be creating something like 23 cards using the patterned papers. Not all of it, I still got a lot of stuff left over, which I'll show you at the end. But yeah, I had an absolute blast creating with this pad. So the first thing I'm doing, I've taken out all of the pre-die cut toppers. You can see that I've just put them in a tray. And basically, I'm just going to make a bunch of ephemera, so when I come to create my cards I can just kind of look through everything I've got. So I'm just cutting up the strips. These strips are perfect for hiding joins on your cards. They're perfect for just adding that extra little bit of detail if your cards need it, and I'm just basically trimming anything that can be trimmed with my guillotine here, so pretty much anything that's square. But you can see all the panels you've got, and you can see all these lovely colors. And then for the printed toppers, the ones that need to be cut by hand, I'm actually going to cut them out using my scan and cut machine. So I showed you in a recent haul video I brought a new mat, and they just cut out like a dream. It was absolutely perfect. It saved me so much time. I was so I've forgotten why I loved my scan and cut so much. Yeah, I was pretty much waiting to get a new mat for ages, and I'm so glad that I got one now. And this is a brand new mat. It cut perfectly, and you can see exactly how these cut out lovely. So once I've got everything cut out, I spent a little bit of time doing that so I could have a play with everything. I'm going to create my first 6 set of cards. So I'm using 2 of the patterned papers. You've got this lovely holly, and then so something a little bit darker, and then you've got this lovely bright patterned paper here with the strings of lights on it. So I'm following this same template I did for my one sheet wonder for A6 cards. So 2 sheets of single-sided paper is going to create 6 A6 cards. So I've trimmed both of these pieces down to let me just check. It was 3.5 by 5.25, and then I just trim them in different creative ways, and then we can add interchange the papers. So on one section we've got one piece, and another section we've got another. So it just makes it a little bit more interesting. And again, that's kind of one of the concepts of the one sheet wonders, is getting as much as you can. Now in my previous one sheet wonder videos, I used all of the scraps and everything. I don't in this particular video, but I have saved everything, so there's definitely going to be a second video at least using all of the ephemera. But again, I've got bits and pieces of the papers left over, so there will be a second video on this. But you can use the pretty much the entirety of these papers. So I ended up with 2 panels from each piece of 8 by 8. Like I said, that was 3.5 by 5.25 inch. Then as some of the cut-offs, I get this piece here, which is 3.5 inch, and off one of them I just trim like 1/8 of an inch, and then that measures then when you put them together like these 5.25, which is what you need. So there's so many videos out there, so much you can do with this one sheet wonder, and again I thought I would just start here. This would be an easy point to get going with, and you know, really dive into using this paper kit. So I've got my pre-made cards here. These are ones that I've made. For my card bases, I use the Crafter's Companion multi-purpose card. It's a 300 GSM. I've actually just gone ahead and ordered 2 more packs. I think there's about 60 sheets in each. Absolutely loving this card for the card bases. Multi-purpose, I mean, you know, that's what it's called, so you can use it for so much. It's a really great card stock. So I've taken, I think this was the Chilli red. I didn't actually count how many sheets of coloured card I brought in. I only brought in 2. It was this one, which is Chilli red from Craft Perfect, and then I think it was the Fern green, so I used a darker one on my last set of cards, only really because I ran out of my red card stock. But I probably used a handful of those to mat and layer all of my cards. So you can see that I'm just putting these together. I'm just using my Nuvo Deluxe glue. So I go in the production style. I just find this much easier, and I think it takes less time. So I've put all of my mats and layers on, and then I'm just gluing down my pieces of patterned paper, and all of these papers would work wonderfully together. I picked these 2 because it was something a little bright and something, you know, a little darker. So, you know, each paper kind of stood out for its own reason there. But we've got diagonal cuts. I'm not too precious about how I'm cutting these. As long as I'm cutting both pieces of pattern paper in the same way, they will all be able to be used together, and you can see those here. And what I've done then is, because I've got all of the ephemera out on my desk, so I can go ahead and literally just look at the card I've got in front of me. So this one here, we've got, you know, this thin, I think that was about an inch strip there. So I've got that, so I can look at kind of what I want to put on the card with the composition of the card from where the join is. So with cards like this, I like to try and add my toppers or my sentiment, whatever it is I'm putting on it. I want to try and put it over that line, not to hide it, but I just think it looks a little bit more kind of pleasing to the eye. So I picked out 3 of these baubles, and I've added some foam pads to the back of it, and then also this small sentiment. That's the only thing I wish it did have a little bit more of, was sentiments. I end up cutting into some of the other toppers and things to get the sentiments from it. So I don't bring in many additional products into this, certainly not dies, but I did want to trim down this circle topper, and I ended up picking up a scalloped circle. This is from Hunky Dory. This is their straight and scalloped edge circles nesting dies. I didn't really have one of the perfect size, but this one, so it did cut it down a lot closer than maybe I would have liked. I just didn't want to have to fussy cut it out, to be honest. But with these toppers, the pre-die cut ones, and even the ones that my scan and cut cut out, you do have quite a thick white border around it, which you can trim down or leave it. I do a mixture of both throughout all of the cards in this video. I did try to get my scan and cut to bring the margins down a little bit, to try and chop some of that off, but it didn't necessarily work just with some of the papers or the background pattern, so I just left it as it was, and if I wanted to cut it down, then I did, just like that angel. And then again, we've got this little topper here, so I'm just adding a foam pad to one side and some glue to the other, just so it stands up, and that says "Let It Snow." Then for the next one, we're going to take this Christmas tree. I love, this is a very traditional Christmas tree, and then there's 2 others which you will see in the video, of, you know, slightly more graphic styles of Christmas tree, which I do really love, but I thought we'll have to get the classic tree on here. And then we do have a sentiment: "We wish you a Merry Christmas." And like I said, just the same thing again, I'm just fussy cutting around this just to take that white, or just, I've still got the white border, but just to make it not as thick. So obviously I have used my scan and cut to cut a lot of these out. It definitely took me less time to cut everything out and then just trim down the pieces that I was using. If I'd cut everything by hand, it would have taken me a lot longer. So I've just added my tree down with glue, and then the sentiment I trimmed down again, and I'm just going to pop some foam pads behind this, and we're going to add that up onto the tree, and that is our next card done. So this one here, I'm going to add in a border. So I'm just cutting this to that 3.5 inches long, and it's going to go in that join. So again, that's a great way of using these little strips, and that's a great way of using any leftover cardstock or papers, pattern papers that you might have. If you're joining pieces together or you want an edge on it, little strips like this do really come in handy, so definitely don't throw them away. This one I've kept simple then. We just got this lovely little girl here, and she's got a nutcracker in her hands. You've got some lovely floral behind her, and then just a little sentiment on there. So this is one of those graphic Christmas trees I was talking about. Again, I've cut this one down as well. I'm just covering the back of this in foam pads. And again, this is going to go to that left-hand side just to, again, not cover that join, but I just feel like that is the right placement for it. And then we've got a lovely sentiment on there as well. I really love this yellow. It's like a mustard yellow. I think it's perfect. For this one here, this is the last and 6th card of this small collection. So we've got this Have a Holly Jolly Christmas. I popped some foam pads onto the back of this, and then I've just taken 2 of these lovely little holly sprigs and just popped that behind it. Again, just going over that join of those patterned papers. And that is then the end of this first collection of papers. I could have cut this into a few different videos, but to be honest, I really wanted to show you everything. I did pretty much all of this apart from my last few cards. All of this was just in one evening. I just sat, I had something played on my iPad, and I just had an absolute blast with these. For my embellishment, I just took one Nuvo drop. This is the vintage, and I think it was the Regal green that I used. Now on to the next kind of thing that I did with this pad is I took all of these panels here. They can be used on cards, but I decided to turn them into tags. So I picked out one of the sizes from the Papercraft products. These are the tag nesting dies. So I picked the tag that I had that fitted exactly on this piece. It was obviously smaller, and I really wanted to keep as much of the design and you know, any of that space around it as possible. So I decided to go the next size up and literally just hang it off the edge. You don't even notice. I'm going to round the corners anyway, but these made really great tags. They're fantastic sizes, and each of them are different. Within the pad you get 2 sets of each because you get 2 identical pieces. I do still have all but one of these tags left over now, so I might turn them into more tags again, or I might use them on the next project, but you can see them here, and I just think they do make really fantastic tags. So I'm just going to use this hole punch rather than using the circle die that comes in that in that die set, sorry. I'm not too fussed about getting them, each of them perfect. They'll all go on something different. You could coordinate this with your cards if you wanted to, and you know, like bags and things like that. But yeah, I just think these are going to make some great tags for presents at Christmas. So the last thing I'm going to do is actually just round the bottom, and I think this finished it off really nicely. I was glad that I decided to do this. So that was kind of the second project that I did with this pad. So on to the third sort of project, the third set of cards here. I'm creating some DL sized cards, and I wanted to use these papers for this size card. These were my absolute favourite pieces from this paper pad. I think these 2 papers are absolutely gorgeous. I love them. I know they're quite simple, like that presents. It's just, you know, presents on there, but I love the colours. I love how they're drawn. This one that's got like the characters on there, the mouse, the ballerina, and the nutcracker. Yeah, I just absolutely love this, and I thought this would work perfectly on a DL because you really get, you know, all of those you can just get as much as possible from these papers on there. So I absolutely love them. I'm going to create 4 here. So I use the Papercraft products Scalloped Edged DL nesting dies. So I use the one down from the largest, and then for my matte and layer I'm going to use the stitched DL nesting dies again from Papercraft products. I could have just trimmed this out with my paper trimmer, but I wanted to have that stitched detailing on there, just something a little bit extra. And I'm pretty sure this was where I'd used up I think I've got a couple of sheets left when I come to do my 5x7s, but yeah, I pretty much used up all of this Chilli red cardstock in this card series. So I'm just going through and die cutting those. I like to trim it down before running it through my die cut machine, just so I'm not putting sort of excess cardstock through it, sort of unnecessarily, really. But these cards end up being kind of simple. I don't put too much on it because I didn't want to cover too much of that patterned paper again, because I just absolutely loved it so much. But we do end up using some of that ephemera on there as well. So I'm just going to do the same thing again. We're going to glue down our mats and layers, and I really love how this looks when you mix together the stitched nesting dies with the scalloped, or you know, even plain with the scalloped. But I love this because that's extra little detail from that stitch, just sort of elevates your cards a little bit more. So I glued those down, and then again, I really wanted these to stand out, so I added some foam tape onto the back of this. So this foam tape is the Time for Tea Designs foam tape. This is the 25mm. 2 strips down the back really is all you need, and literally the roll of this, if you've seen it in my haul video, you know just how big. I can't remember how many meters is on it, but it's absolutely gigantic. I love it. It's a really good foam tape, and you know, I just wanted to really show off those patterned papers as much as possible, and by adding that foam tape, it does create that little shadow behind it, so it shows you that it's stood up, but it really just sort of, that's where your eye goes, just to that patterned paper. Yeah, I think it's really lovely. So what I do then is I sort of stop filming, I get all the ephemera, so I sort of work out what I want to put on there, and then that's when I come back, because otherwise these videos would be so much longer if you sort of sat there and watched me work it out. But like I said, I'm keeping them really simple. These two first ones, because I don't want to cover any of these characters, they're literally just getting sentiments. This one here, I think I trimmed that out of another panel, so you know, just sort of cutting them down. This Winter Wishes sentiment, that come from an oval that had some mittens on it. I thought, am I gonna make a card that's probably big enough to fit those mittens on? Probably not. So I did just cut that sentiment out. We've got a little circle ephemera piece there, and then this one I did sort of add a little bit extra onto here, but we've got the mouse, the nutcracker, and the ballerina there, and I've added 3 foam pads onto the back of my sentiment, and then I just basically lined up those characters with that foam pad and glued those on. And that card there, I left the large amount of white space just to help it stand out from that busy background. But I absolutely love these. Yeah, just having it in that DL size really shows off much more of that paper. So that's it for this set of cards. For my next ones, I'm going to be doing some 5x7. So I was just organising my ephemera a little bit just to really see what it is that I had. And then I was looking through some of the patterned papers, and some of them, these ones here are quite busy. So I was thinking then to put the ephemera on top of it. I just felt like it was going to be a lot. So what I decided to do was create some bigger cards. So the 5x7. I end up creating 4 altogether, but you'll see me make 3 here, and then I just make one quick at the end because I had another piece of patterned paper left over. But yeah, I just really didn't want to cover it up sort of too much, so literally this is going to be very, very simple. So I've cut again some of that Chilli red cardstock. I've got my 5x7 inch card base, and you know, again, it's just an assembly line here. You could do this all at the same time if you knew how many cards you were going to make, but I thought it was great doing, you know, all of my one sheet wonders with the A6, then I did my slimline, then I did these 5x7. It just makes things a little easier. So I'm just adding on the patterned papers here now. So we've got the snowman, we've got the Christmas tree, we've got this one with all the different bits and pieces on there together. And then I honestly can't remember actually what my last one was. I think I had baubles on it maybe. But I wanted to use the sticker sentiments, these ones that you can see just off to the right hand side. So what I'm going to do is just add in a strip, so this strip here, and then I'm going to add just a sentiment onto it. So I've just cut these down to size. I think these would have been 4.5 inches long to match the width of the patterned paper, and literally just sort of 3/4 of the way down, I'm going to just glue that on there. It just just helps to separate from that sentiment. So this was point now where I actually realized they were stickers, and because then they weren't going onto something flat, I did something to turn them into an actual sort of topper. The easiest thing to do is just to stick it onto a piece of card. So I think I stuck all but 3, and then I think I ripped one as well, onto just a piece of scrap. This is the Crafter's Companion multi-purpose cardstock, so I just popped it on there and literally just cut around it. Some of them maybe a bit of questionable cutting, but who does cut a circle perfectly? I could have used a die again, but to be honest, it probably would have taken me just the same amount of time. I was trying to kind of cut slightly underneath the sticker as much as possible, you know, without trimming any more of that down. But there wasn't tons of sentiments like on their own in this kit, which was a little bit of a shame. And again, I didn't want to add too much else into these cards. I wanted to kind of use them, the kits themselves. But then I remembered we had these and I thought, okay, well, you got some more. But yeah, it would have been nicer just to have some more sort of coloured sentiments, really. But once those are cut out, I'm just going to add a foam pad to the back of it, and that's literally just going to sit on top of that strip. So, you know, if you've got some nice patterned paper, your Christmas cards, or any card really, can be just as easy as this. So you can see there, I was trying to have a look to see if I wanted to add any ephemera onto this, but I just decided to leave it as it was, and again then add some vintage Nuvo drops onto here as well. And then this is where I create just that last one, because I realized I had an extra piece that I didn't want to cut up, and it was this floral piece here. The florals in here were really, really nice. This one is quite Christmassy. The other ones, you know, I think you could get away with using them any time of year. But again, I didn't really know how to trim this down, how I wanted to trim it down, where you would still see all of that design. And now on to the last set of cards. I think I make 9 here, and this is using 3 sheets of cardstock cut exactly the same way. So this is cut to 3.5 inches by 5.25 inch. I'm then cutting some, so this is the, I'm pretty sure it's fern green or avocado green. Maybe, I'm not 100% sure. I'll link it in the description box down below. The mats are cut to 3.75 by 5.5 inch. So I've got enough to make, like I said, 9 cards here, but I think 2 of them, because I've got 3 sheets of cardstock, I'm pretty sure it was 2 of them are just one piece, which is this holly sprig. All the others are like the first set of cards where then I mix and match in those papers. So you've got the holly sprig, you have got the snowflakes, and then we've got the candy canes as well. So this is the first one where I'm using 2 of the offcuts together, where I trimmed that 1/8 of an inch off one piece, and then the other ones are just 2 sort of full sheets. So rather than, I'm obviously not doing kind of a proper production line here, but I'm adding my green mat and then I'm adding my patterned papers on here. For some reason that one before didn't join together very well, but again I'm just going to add a strip to the center of it, and it is going to hide that join at the end, so you would never know. So again, just going through, I sort of cut these again all of the same sort of way. So we have got the diagonal cuts, we've got the strips. This one here I cut just dead in half. So I think I cut this, it was 1 3/4. So you've got half and half of the patterned paper, and then again you've got the diagonal, and then these last 2 here is just the full sheet of those candy canes. So I cut into every piece of patterned paper. Again, I'm going to show you at the end exactly what I've got left for another video, but a little bit of offcuts that we'll definitely be able to use. So up until that point, that was all done in one evening. I probably spent a good maybe 4 or 5 hours doing this, but again that did include cutting everything down, so you know you don't have to do that all kind of in one day, obviously. But on this card we've got the 3 little figures here, the 2 nutcrackers and the ballerina, and again just using that sentiment on there. I cut, this was originally one panel, but I decided to trim it down because it was quite big, so I've cut the sentiment and I've trimmed around it, and then you've got those elves there with the presents, which I popped up on foam tape. we've got this lovely, I really like this with the little mouse on it stood on the florals, and then I found just in amongst the pile that there was the identical and the same size, so I did a little decoupage, added some foam pads to the back of that and added that onto the topper, so that just gave it a nice bit of dimension, and then added that behind the florals, and then just add in one of the sentiments. So you've got the patterned papers in there with those ephemera. It's just all about how you build it up. This next one was probably one of my favourite cards, I think. So I took just some of the presents, trimmed down the white edge of this, and then I added all of them onto foam pads, and I stacked it up as if it was a Christmas tree, because you had the nice variation in sizes. And then I added a star to the top of it again on a foam pad, so it looked like a Christmas tree, and I really liked how this one turned out. And then again I took a sentiment, but again with this sentiment, because by now I didn't have many left, I just trimmed it off one of the other panels. I can use the top of it for something, a different card, but yeah, I was kind of snipping into things by then, so every card had a sentiment without having to get something from my stash. So here we've got 3 sort of bubbles, and then the angel is a bubble as well, and I'm going to add just a fine liner pen just to make it look like it is string, and then I just added sort of a little 2 loops just to make it look that way. Then we've got our snowman. Again, love this mustard background. Added that flat, and then our sentiment I popped up. So just really quick and simple cards these, and if you've got that kind of ephemera there and things, it goes so perfectly. I definitely didn't struggle as much with this than sometimes I do with other kits that's got ephemera. I think it just depends how sort of interested you are in the theme of it, I think. I just absolutely love these, and these are going to go together as packs of cards, so it's just perfect to have so much variety. We had one of those big panels that I turned into a tag, and then that last card again just had a topper on it. So that was all of the cards that I made, and I'm just showing you now all of the pieces that I have left over. I've got patterned paper left over, I've got the strips, and again then we've got panels. We have got those duplicates of what I turned into tags -1 that ended up on a card, and then again just all of these toppers and all these bits of ephemera. So much in here. I know this is a longer video than what I normally do. Again, I could have split this into a few different videos, but I really just wanted to put it all together to really show you, that you can sit down and just create to your heart's content with this kit. There's just so much in here. All of these pieces here, I've decided at Christmas I'm going to do a 25 days of Christmas. I know it's usually 12, but I didn't do Christmas in July, so I'm going to do this instead, so from the 1st of December to the 25th of December I'm going to have a Christmas video every single day, and I'm going to bring this back out for that series then as well, which I'm really looking forward to. And then so that's everything I had left. So I'm going to show you now the cards that I created in this video. So like I said, I think there was 23 cards altogether, and then I ended up with 8 tags as well, and I could make another 7 tags if I wanted to. So we had 4 slimline, we had 8 tags, we had 4 5x7s, we had 6 from the first set of A6 cards, and then we had 9 in the second set of A6 cards. So if you had this paper pad, or you were thinking about buying the magazine to get this free gift, I absolutely loved it. I think it was brilliant. I had so much fun creating with this. And I can't wait to see really what I can do with that ephemera as well. So I'll link the products in the description box down below. There's not going to be too many, because again I didn't bring much else in other than the kit, but I will find those down there. Don't forget to head over to Marta's video as well, where she's using a Christmas paper pad from a previous issue of Papercraft Essentials, so definitely go over there and check her video out as well. And yeah, definitely, even if you don't have this paper pad, but you've got something similar, it just goes to show what you can do with the patterned papers. To think there was 11 pieces of patterned paper in here, and we've created 23 cards. We've still got a lot of stuff left over, loads of ephemera left over. If you want some easy card making, if you're new to card making, these type of kits are absolutely ideal for that. So that is basically it for this long video. Lots of cards in here. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you like this kind of video, or you know, these kits and things, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to head over to Marta's channel to check out her video, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos that I upload. So that's it for today. Thanks very much for watching, and happy crafting.